Hello, everybody, and welcome to Yes Have Some Podcast. My name is Craig Goldberg. Thank you so much for joining us this wonderful afternoon / evening / morning / weekend.
Whatever time you want it to be.
You could be in line for Rise of the Resistance. You could be kicked out of line for Rise of the Resistance.
You could go into the Rise of the Resistance at one time, and then it could be like nighttime when you get out.
A lot can happen. We're here. We're back.
Orlando. Existential crisis.
We did it. We went on a vacation. It was amazing.
Yes.
We're going to get into it. Abigail Gardner, what's up?
I'm back, and I'm better than ever. I'd have to say that was a really restorative trip. It was tons of fun.
I agree.
Yeah, it was almost surreal in a way because it's been like a full year since we've like left the state of Georgia and gone somewhere. So it was really nice to see people and to see Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Like that's something that has felt like it's been like behind closed doors for us for just too long. Like I'm sick of not seeing it. Basically,
well, it was one of those things. Also, hi Jake, how are you?
Hi Jake.
Hey,
Jake,
Jake, I can't see you. I'm so sorry.
You can't see me?
No, I'm imagining what you're doing and saying, but
I could see everybody.
Well, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Now that I'm not talking and you're talking.
Jake, for those not watching on video, has a friend with him. Jake, introduce your friend.
I have a what are these guys actually called? I got a salacious crumb on my
Kowakian
shoulder.
monkey lizard.
The monkey lizard, yeah. I picked him up. He just he like when you go to like you see all the videos of like animal shelters and you see those animals behind the cages and they just got like puppy dog eyes and they're so sad.
Yeah,
and they just want you to adopt them. Well, that happened to me at Galaxy's Edge. I just saw this little guy and he was in a kill shelter. So I just felt my duty to adopt him.
They went out of their way to say it was a kill shelter. Like we will
they
kill
made
these
sure
animals.
They're like, he's going to die.
Pit.
Yeah.
Abby, you also have a
I've
salacious
got one
crumb.
too. He's really sweet.
Because a lot of people don't realize this, and I'm realizing it more and more. Abigail and Jake, traveling with them is like traveling with two kids, and if one gets a salacious crumb, the other one has to get one.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I'm getting one of those. What are you doing, Abby?
Yeah,
You're copying me.
Oh, well, first of all, Salacious Crumb is like my favorite creature, so I would have gotten him anyway. But Jake and I have like the same taste in things. So
Basically in everything. So.
Yeah, in like everything. So I would say it's not much of a competition.
Will you click your mic down just a little bit? It's kind of covering your mouth. There you go.
Wow, everyone can see now?
I wanted to see your face.
It's a better experience
It's a nice face.
all around. Okay.
But we're going to get into it.
I've kissed this Salacious Crumb on the head multiple times. Like just a little...
it's
a cat.
Kiss. Well, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about Galaxy's Edge, our trip to Orlando. That's going to be the main thing we talk about today. There's a lot going on in the world. We got the Shang-Chi trailer dropped, and Falcon and Winter Soldier is coming to an end this week. Next week, we'll have a breakdown of the whole season. If you're looking for weekly recaps, I would definitely check out on our YouTube channel, John Yerkeba and Justin Williams. They've been doing a show called No More Heroes that streams live on Friday evenings on YouTube. In-depth, really amazing, incredibly articulate, and just downright nerdy discussion about Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I've really loved watching that show. It's been really cool. So that'll be coming up.
I'm getting the look from Craig to remove the monkey lizard.
No, I didn't give
it's
you that
good?
look.
Oh, I was assuming...
You can shut him up. You don't have to remove him.
I kept making him talk.
You can tell him to shut the hell
he
up.
can sit right there. Yeah, no, that show, John and Justin are awesome. I was just going to give them a shout out and say I've enjoyed it. So.
But I think I was going to give them a shout out. And
you think you did it
before
me?
First.
This is good? Okay, cool.
But a couple things right off the top. Obviously, we also want you to check out Jake. You have what is happening? You just have your own podcast now?
I guess I do.
From under our noses, you've started a new thing?
Yeah, what's the deal?
You can say that as if I didn't ask you both to do it with me, and you were both like, nah.
Dude, you did episode 1. I said I'll jump in.
I definitely really was like, please host this with me. And we got a YHS on Monster Island where, me and JK, just like do some deep dives into kaiju history and movies. And actually next week, we're going to be just doing an entire episode about toys.
Amazing.
Which you're going to be on.
Well, We're going to do that. And also, I just listened to the most recent episode. You were there. You remember this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you?
It's amazing. You guys are great.
Dude.
So if you guys want to check that out, it's not on the main YHS feed, but you can find it on YouTube. But if you want to listen to the audio feed, you're going to find YHS on Monster Island, wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, things like that. Mm-hmm. We've got a lot going on. We're keeping busy, and it's been a couple weeks. Like so much has happened since the last time we sat down. We did the whole Ghostbusters mini puffed debut. What? All right, I'm just gonna stop. What is happening?
I'm trying to move it. I'm moving him.
Moving the entire time. Feels like there's shadow puppets in my.
I literally have a puppet, so it's hard not
my
to.
My monkey lizard is very well behaved, and Abby's is over there just like
he's going everywhere. It's his fault.
It's fine. You might actually want to raise your chair now a little bit. You seem significantly lower than both
you.
of us. I don't know what happened.
Well,
no, it's all good. There you go.
Cool.
So
same level.
We're on the level. Listen, before we get going, we did have an awesome trip. I'm still recovering. I don't know if I'm built for back-to-back theme parks anymore. I'm very hurt. That's all I could say. Very hurt. I'm a very hurt man. But real quick, we got some mail while we were gone from our good friend and author. I'm going to say author first, good friend second, because let's face it, he's an incredible writer, and he's put out some really good stuff, and we want everybody to check him out. Andrew Schaefer, but he sent us bracelets in the mail, and they're great. Abby's going to show them off. Abby and I got matching Martha bracelets, which is, I think he made these.
Yes. Oh, these are handmade. There's no doubt. These are friendship bracelets.
And I called Jake. I was like, did you get a Martha bracelet? And you were like, no, I got...
Well, it makes sense.
A Mothra bracelet.
It's all
Mine says Mothra, and I'm never taking it off.
Sometimes friends fight, so it's about friendship coming together.
It's funny.
Yeah, I see the significance, and I love it. Thank you, Andrew.
And we appreciate it, Andrew. And the funny thing is I've forgotten to give Andrew our updated address for like the last 2 years. So every time he sends us something, it goes to our old house, and I get a text from our annoyed
Janet. Janet text.
She's like, "You got a package from Andrew Schaefer." I was like, "Did I?" Well, I will be coming in getting that on my own terms. You can't boss me around anymore. You're no longer my landlord. But actually, just thank you, Andrew. That was really sweet of you.
Dude.
That was very cool. Yeah. And we had Andrew on the podcast a couple months ago. We had a lively discussion about Limp Bizkit of all things, and made me want to break stuff, but not this bracelet. That's a pun. That's not a pun. It's just a joke. It's just a fun joke I did.
It's a joke. It's a fun joke.
And then also, we got to congratulate our friends at the Ghostbusters Interdimensional Cross Rip, who celebrated their 300th episode. How about that? Amazing.
Yeah, dude.
And I normally wouldn't promote another podcast, but we were on it, so I have to. I was like, this is pretty damn good.
Yeah, I already shared it.
No,
on my Instagram.
The Troy and Chris are great, and they're great friends of ours, and they kill it, and they are a very valuable and important part of the Ghostbusters fan community, and we were super excited to do their show. There's a YouTube video where they compiled a bunch of interviews. It's also on their audio feed. They had us, Eric Reich from Ghost Corps, and some other folks too, and it was really cool, and we were able to watch some of it live in Orlando. It debuted at midnight on Wednesday, and we had just been at Galaxy's Edge all day. Killed some pizza, not going to lie. Shout out to King's Pizza in Orlando.
Yeah, pizza in bed.
Or Pizza King. I don't remember what it was called. Peter Mosen King Pizza. It was something like
Peter
that.
King Pizza.
And Jake, we were like out like a light. It was like,
yeah,
the cross rip. Not because of them.
Almost immediately.
We were just exhausted.
Yeah.
Well, it was just late for us, and we had been out we did a lot of walking, and I think we were all kind of overcome with excitement about Galaxy's Edge and how cool it was. And we just felt we were just tired.
We were spent like little kids at the end of the day. And I remember I was like asleep, and Craig was like, Abby, the cross rip's on. I was like, I made a noise.
I got really close to her face. I was like, Chris Stewart is here.
We also knew
over.
that we were getting up early in the morning to go back to a theme
Yeah,
park.
Universal
yes.
the next morning.
And also, to be fair,
Which is awesome, and thank you to
We-
Caitlin Larkin.
yeah, we're gonna get to
Yeah,
that too.
dude.
Yeah.
To be fair, we were on the show, so we knew what we were saying, but not that we didn't all watch it again and just go, "We are so."
Well, we
great.
did.
Look
well,
how great
let
we're
me
being.
finish the
Let me-
story that the next day we decided to just watch the
We
whole
watched
thing
it. It was
when we got
great.
back.
Yes.
It was
Yeah,
great.
for sure.
Yeah.
So congrats to Troy and Chris, and I really enjoyed the interview with Eric as well.
Yeah.
It's always very interesting to kind of hear some of that behind the scenes stuff going on over at Ghost Corps.
Yeah.
And so make sure you check that out if you haven't listened. And as Abby mentioned, thank you to Caitlin Larkin, who is a longtime YHS supporter and also hosts a podcast of her own, What the Flux, which is an amazing Back to the Future podcast. If you aren't familiar with that, it's very much in the wheelhouse of Yes Have Some, so make sure you check that out. She was able to get us into Universal and Islands of Adventure, and anybody who travels knows that it's not cheap. Not cheap to go to these theme parks, so we appreciate that.
Yeah.
And shout out to Jake, your buddy John, who helped us
John,
with.
yeah.
By the way, we are so cheap. We'll go to a theme park and people are getting us in. Come on now.
Yeah. Thanks to my friends John and Chelsea for getting us into Galaxy's Edge.
It was friggin' awesome.
Kind of giving us some tips and
Yeah. Couple more. This is the shout out episode, okay?
this is what we're gonna do. Yeah.
Matt Sanders, co-host of the Ghostbusters Containment Unit podcast, autograph extraordinaire. We should probably touch on it at some point tonight, Jake. Your little autograph comeuppance.
Oh
yeah,
okay,
you got
for
something.
sure.
We'll get to
We'll
it,
talk
but
about
Matt and Tom are doing a great job at the containment unit and just have these incredibly enlightening and passionate discussions about Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters autograph collecting. So, Matt, thank you for joining us for the most stressful long line of buying those.
The longest line we waited in of the entire weekend was and you know what? And me, hold on. Let's set this straight.
Break it
Craig
down.
did not wait in this line.
Daddy
me
Craig was
and
tired.
Abby
The
waited
dads
in this
sat
line.
at the table.
Yeah,
And
the
me
dad
and
said-
Abby had a
Jake and
conversation
I.
about how the longest line we were waiting in was for fucking Moe's. The same
Yep.
bullshit we can eat. We were so annoyed. We were like, oh, cool. We're waiting for, it was over an hour.
Yeah.
Just waiting for
I was like,
shitty burritos.
I know. I was like, I like how we didn't go to a restaurant to have someone wait on us, so Jake and I could wait on them.
Hey, by the way, I thought my you know what? Shout out to the Moe's. I'm like
My
reading the
tacos
ad.
were excellent.
Hey,
First
today's-
of all,
yeah,
Moe's.
it's always good, but it's
Hey,
It's
hold
still...
always good when you
on.
get to sit down and have someone bring it to you.
By the way, today's episode of Yes Have Some Podcast brought to you by the Moe's at City Walk, Universal Orlando, where you can get a burrito bowl full of stuff.
Moe's knows. Burritos.
Nobody welcomed us to that news.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
If
but there
they
was
did,
no
we couldn't have
welcome to
heard them
Moe's.
because it was packed.
And then my final shout out, and this one meant a lot to me. I got the chance a couple weeks ago before we left to have a really nice conversation with another YHS listener, AJ Murray, who is he's a group therapy supporter. He's an awesome guy. He's got an
Local
awesome,
Atlanta.
local to Atlanta. Reached out, wanted to connect. Dude's just a massive Ghostbusters fan, and he's been through a lot in his life, and he's a super inspiring guy, and it was just so damn cool to talk to him. And I want to have AJ on the show probably as we get closer to Afterlife. It's so weird being, and we kind of transition into the main part of the episode here, but it's so weird being, we're huge Ghostbusters fans. We're so dedicated to it, and we're very involved in the community, and we know all these people in the community. But just to connect with listeners or people who share like these common interests and these common passions, and to hear how passionate and exciting they are excited that they are about the movie, and it's just cool. He left me a message yesterday because. Jason Reitman had tweeted that Ernie Hudson was the first Ghostbuster to see Afterlife. And Ernie Hudson tweeted that he was left speechless by the movie. And just like, and AJ felt, by the way, not AJ Quick. Who knows what he felt? But AJ Murray, he was so excited to see that because, like, this is confirmation, like, listen, what? I don't remember Ernie Hudson ever saying he was left speechless by that last Ghostbusters movie. I'm just putting it out there. I don't think he went out of his way to talk about those flapjacks. So we're excited. We're excited that you guys are excited. We got a really fun couple months coming up with Ghostbusters Day and everything else. So shout out to AJ, and let's do it. Let's talk about this damn trip.
Yes.
All right. So before we get there, I always like to go backwards a little bit to set the stage. So in 1975, there was a movie called, or 77, I should say, Star Wars. 75 was Jaws. I always mix that up, and I feel like a fake fan. No, it was our first trip to Galaxy's Edge. Abby, you kind of set the stage earlier.
Yeah.
Galaxy's Edge, in my mind, it opened during the pandemic, and that's why we hadn't been yet. But that's not true. We just hadn't gone. It just the stars hadn't aligned yet. So Jake, Abby,
it was like a exclusive club that's very tough to get into.
An exclusive club that like Hal Clay and a lot of other people we know have already been to.
Yeah.
Jake, set the stage. What was your anticipation level? You have a long documented, complicated history with the Star Wars franchise.
I do.
I'm thinking about your history, and it's very funny.
I do, but lately in the last like maybe year or so, I've been Star Wars has been very high on the list for me, and me and Star Wars have been getting along very well recently.
Yeah, good.
And
good.
my anticipation, honestly, it was bigger than I thought it was going to be. Like no lie, I feel like most of the time when you see photos of Galaxy's Edge, you're always seeing that section with the Millennium Falcon.
Right.
So I kind of just thought that was it. I was like, the Millennium Falcon's there. There's a couple other rides, and it's just that area. But then when we got there, I'm like, oh, this is way bigger than just that area. And that area is at the end. It's a much bigger land than I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that if you haven't been, but you've been to Universal, I think the only comparable thing would be
Harry Potter.
Yeah, Diagon Alley and all that.
Yeah, the way that it's structured, it seems it's well hidden. Like you walk through that bridge gate area.
Yeah, it's like a tunnel that goes to it.
Yeah, which the tunnel reminds me of like one of the Mario Kart levels. It's very cool inside, and then once you get in, the way it's designed, it just like it opens up into like a very all-encompassing, like big world with a lot of the cool lived-in props around.
But the best thing about it, I think, is it kind of like when you come through that gate, it doesn't hit you right away. It's like the first open area is kind of small, and it's like there's a little ship over here to your left, and then there's the line to Rise of Resistance is right there. And there's like a couple of those really small kiosks, and we stopped there. But like when I first walked in, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, this is cool, but this is what is happening? It's like you have to get around that. It's like it's
to find the resistance. Like it's
and then
hidden.
when you get around that corner, it's like
it really opens up. I think what would make it more realistic is if instead of the nice paved walkways, it was just all sand.
Just sand
everywhere. Yeah. Well, let's even back up a little bit further. So we had planned to go, and like everybody who goes to it, this isn't like a normal theme park, right? There's you got two rides. You've got Smuggler's Run, which is the Millennium Falcon ride, and then you got Rise of the Resistance. So anybody familiar with Galaxy's Edge knows that to get on Rise of the Resistance, you can't just go to the park and get in line and wait an hour or 2 hours. It's a whole thing. Now, luckily, I had gotten some good advice. They got rid of the in-person, like you got to get there at 7 a.m. kind of thing. They've moved to a virtual queue. So the only way to get on Rise of the Resistance is 7 a.m. the day of. You got to be on the Disney app, refreshing. It's like a NECA toy drop. It's like a Mondo drop.
Yeah, it's like Mondo drop.
Yeah.
It's stressful.
Got to get those bots.
And I read all about it. And the advice I read, and I'll pass it along, was don't be on Wi-Fi. Make sure you have full cell phone service and be very quick. Don't be an idiot, basically. Like click the buttons. Even if your full party isn't on there, you can get them added to your boarding group later. Just click. It's like a 2-button process. So I left the hotel at 6:55, heart's beating. Get down. Literally, I'm walking around the parking lot like a crazy person, looking at my bars. I'm like 3 bars.
Me and Abby are asleep.
Yeah, you guys are asleep. Abby was probably the shower. And what happened was it hit 6:59. I refreshed once, refreshed twice, counted backwards from 20. It's a weird OCD thing. I was like 20, 19, 18, Star Wars, 15, 4. It was just like we were doing weird stuff. And then 7 a.m., refresh, boom, 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 get it, freeze. The app freezes. And then it pops up and says, you are not in the park. And I was like, I know. It doesn't open till 9.
Yeah.
So we found out later that the app glitched out, and what they do is they do 2 drops a day, and the 1 o'clock drop, you have to be already in the park to get in on it. And somebody did something wrong, and they put up the details for the 1 o'clock drop. Anyways, long story short, got it. Day started off good. We had already made plans to go. We had booked a reservation at the Droid Depot to build droids, and we had been trying for weeks to get a reservation at Oga's Cantina, which after going to the Cantina, I think that's a must stop. Like, I would be mad if we went to Galaxy's Edge didn't go to the Cantina.
I can legit say it was the highlight. Like, because Rise of the Resistance had, we'll get to it, some issues. My most enjoyable
they're not just going to remove the Last Jedi features from the ride for you.
Some issues.
I had some issues. Hux.
Yeah, exactly. No. I will say it made me hate the First Order being like on that ride and having it be I felt like I was being punished and like traumatized by that experience. But I will say that Oga's Cantina like made up for everything. Being inside there was, the lighting was perfect, the music was better than anything, and that playlist is on Spotify. Thanks, Jake, for
DJ Rex.
That being inside that I actually kind of liked having the social distancing being a factor with our experience there, like having our own little spot.
We'll get to it, but basically the Cantina is reservation only. I had been trying, no luck, and then on the way down, on the drive down, I was driving, and I had this little thing in my head that says, you should check right now. App, boom, 7:05.
You know what that was? The Force.
It was the Force.
Whoa.
It was the Force.
You've let it in.
I was one with the Force.
Called to you.
Guys, Rogue One is good.
Breathe.
Rogue One is really good. I'm sick of... I've gone on this rant. These Star Wars
You're
fans...
suspect.
I like Rogue One a lot, but
I'm watching it tonight.
I don't want people telling me... I know it's good. Okay, I get it. But there's these Star Wars fans that are like, oh, Rogue One is like... I'm like, stop. Yeah, it's good. Fine. Great. Cool. Anyways, by the way, Rogue One is really good.
It is.
I want to watch it now, too.
I was kind of wondering what you're doing right now.
I was going to say, you think it's overrated, or you think it has
like,
more
I'll put it this way.
hype?
It's like when somebody comes up and they're like, no, Ghostbusters 2 is actually really good. Yeah, we know. It's great.
Okay. You
Get
can
mad.
enthusiastically
Get
agree.
mad. All right. No.
I love Rogue One.
I was one with the
Force.
Force. Got the reservation on the way down. So at that point, we're locked in. We're gonna do Rise of the Resistance. We're gonna build droids. We're gonna do Oga's Cantina. Boom. Get to the park. Right at 9. It's not that crowded. They do the temperature check, which is like. Well, at Universal, there's a thing on the loudspeaker that says if your temperature's above 104, they won't let you in the park.
So,
I'm like, if you don't know your temperature's 104, I don't know what's going on.
If your temperature's 104, you might be dead.
Yeah, you might not be standing up.
You might be in the Haunted Mansion as part of the ride.
Yeah. Propped up, man. They're going to keep you. Display you. Yeah, it's weird when you get that check. I'm like, do I make eye contact? Do I smile? Just look straight ahead.
Yeah. Nice.
I gave him a hug.
Make small talk about the thermometer. Oh, that's cool. You just nice.
Very
cool.
No, I'm just kidding. No.
Yes.
Do you? Where do you insert?
You don't have a rectal thermometer, do you?
Okay.
So I love us. This is so YHS. We're going for the first time. We're going to Galaxy's Edge. We're in the park. It's fairly empty. Any logical person immediately runs to Galaxy's Edge to get in line for Smuggler's Run. What do? Straight to Star Tours.
You'd be like, no line. Well, we walked past it. It's like, how do you say no to that? You walk in, you see the AT&T.
Yeah, we had to walk by it, and there was no wait time. We were like, it's immediately. And I mean, we were smart. Yes, we would have gotten the Smuggler's Run line, because when we did get in there, it was like an hour wait or something that. But I mean, you can't just walk by start. We haven't been there in a while. It's like the perfect way to start. You know, it's like you gotta we've been on Star Tours before. You gotta get like ready to get in there. So,
and I love the queue for Star Tours. You got the AT-AT. You're in the Ewok village, and also The last time I think we did Star Tours, we got like the Force Awakens screen. This time we did it twice. One time we got The Last Jedi, and one time we got, well, first one was like a combo Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, and the second one was like the battle on Exegol. And spoiler alert, cool. We defeated the Final
I was
Order.
kind of scared because the lightning kept coming up, and I was like, is it gonna hit us?
Yeah.
By the way, when Palpatine's brainstorming the name of the Final Order, you think like anybody was like, hey, maybe we should move away from this order thing. Because the order, I don't know.
Hey, also, maybe don't use the word final because like...
It never is.
Yeah. The next one will be the real Final Order. I'm coming back.
Final Order.
It's their last tour, y'all.
Also, nobody calls their granddaughter. Granddaughter.
Well, I think that's reflective of the fact that he hasn't seen her that much. It's kind of awkward. So
yeah, you can't just be calling her Ray from nowhere. Okay, so Star Tours, great. Awesome.
Then so glad we did it. I thought it was perfect.
By the way,
good start.
If you would like to get like a 20-minute encapsulation of some of our highlights, we do have a YouTube video up that I think it kind of captures a lot of our shopping and some of the experiences there pretty well. It was a lot of fun putting that together. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Abby.
Yeah.
Talk about your bag.
Oh, my bag. Well, first of all, I had an Animal Crossing bag that broke. The strap on the bottom half broke. So I needed to. It was like a necessity to get a new bag while I was there. So I stopped at one of the kiosks. And after actually looking at a few bags in a couple stores, this is the one that I settled on. Caught my eye because it's like worn in, like army surplus looking.
Hey, put it in the camera. There you go.
Yeah,
it's probably easier if I show
How about
off.
you do that, Craig? Thanks.
Yeah, there you go.
Appreciate that.
Here you got a nice bag.
Here you got a nice bag with some cool patches that are just like already sewn on and embroidered or whatever. Yeah. And it's cute. Along with the backpack, I got this set of pins, which I do know how to hold in front of the camera. And y'all can see there's some cute stuff here. They're like celebrating or commemorating battles.
Do you? Back them up a little.
I can't see the reflect. Like, what do you guys want me to do? I don't know what it looks like. I have a black screen in front of me. So
there you go. These are some... Those are cool.
I wish I would have.
Yeah, they're cool pins.
Jake,
I got jealous because I didn't realize. I didn't even like. I think I was too excited around that little kiosk because it was right when we got there, and I didn't really look at anything.
Yeah, there's a whole stack of X-wing helmets, and Jake goes, "What are those?" I'm like, I bet dude, you know.
Like it was like the next day, or it might have been that night, and we were back in the hotel, and I saw those pins laying around, and I was like, I didn't buy. Why didn't I buy those? I was like, I want this indoor pin. I got super bummed.
You take it out on just pins.
That's why I bought this, Jake. Because
I threw all
like,
my pins out.
I'm not gonna deal with the remorse.
Oh man.
And also, this is a Sprite that I got there that I saved.
Oh yeah, let's talk about the Cokes and the Sprites and the Diet Cokes. They come in those little bomb-shaped, I don't know, special. Galaxy's Edge.
It's cool.
Exclusive.
Yeah, they're very cool.
Great.
Apparently, there is also water bottles that aren't shaped like that, but have like I don't know if it's like Arubesh or like one of the. And I didn't see those while we were there, but I
think you had one at one point, Abby. Didn't you have one? I saw them. They sell them.
Yeah, it's like a Dasani.
Yeah. Well,
I think I had that.
By the way, don't try to get the workers at Galaxy's Edge to go off character. They won't.
They don't know what Dasani is.
It's not happening. Yeah.
They're like, how many? This will be 6 credits.
That's Batu water.
I think at one point about the conversion rate of because everything is like, oh, it's 62 credits or $4 4 credits or whatever. And I said something about, and I think I was just talking to you, but I was like, well, what's the conversion rate? Is it like Canadian money? Do I, is it more? And they were like, no, it's 1-to-1, credits to US dollars. And I was like, okay.
But also, they shouldn't know what US dollars are or what Canada is.
No.
I don't know.
Doesn't look like anything to them.
So we kind of got going. Like we stopped in. There's a couple of those kiosks. That kind of have various...
I will say, although we are talking shit about the employees a little bit, they were all super duper nice.
I'm not talking shit about them.
We're not talking shit.
We're laughing. We're having a laugh. But everyone was really
incredible.
Nice there.
They're all part of the experience.
Yeah, it made me want to buy more stuff. They were so nice.
So we took a stroll around to kind of get the vibe. So we weren't going to be going to Rise of the Resistance for a couple hours. So we figured we are going to do some shopping, see what the line is like for Smuggler's Run, just kind of get the lay of the land, for lack of a better term. And I think what the first thing we did was we went and saw the Millennium Falcon, if I remember correctly, because it really is.
We did a walk through the whole. We did kind of a loop around the entire thing, but before we did anything, and
and it's just impressive.
In front of that.
It's just impressive, and it's kind of like. It's that weird thing where now I'm thinking back, I'm like, why didn't I appreciate it more and take more like, you're just overwhelmed in the moment because you're looking at the damn Millennium Falcon. We got to go back.
Yeah.
I think the next thing we did, the official thing, we went into the Den of Antiquities.
Mm-hmm. Doc
Ondar.
I didn't want to interrupt you. Doc Ondar. Doc Brown's Den of Antiquities. I don't know. Abby, break it down. I wasn't really familiar. Like, I didn't do a whole lot of like pre-research into Galaxy's Edge because I wanted the experience for the first time.
I read like one article about Easter eggs because I wanted to be familiar for like the small things to catch, but I knew there was a Jar Jar inside of it. Yes. This Antiquities,
the golden Jar Jar.
The golden Jar Jar. I didn't know anything else other than as soon as we walked into that room, it was the coolest place in the entire park, and I could have spent the day in there and would want to work.
You said the same thing about the Cantina.
Well, you know what? The fact is this was better than the Cantina because it's all like collectibles and oddities and stuff from the Star Wars universe that's from like floor to ceiling. And it's got more animatronic characters than other places that you can get up close with. And it has all the gift items that you want. It has lightsabers and it has like just the higher end merchandise is what I'd say.
Right. It's not your average. It's not a t-shirt shop. You're not in there buying like leather purses and
fanny packs and sunglasses. Yeah. No, it's like specifically Star Wars high end goods.
And I tried to get a lot of video of all the stuff. Jake, what was your first impression of that place?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because it's like, oh my God. It's so, when you walk in there, the way that it is set up is like it's in a circle. And when you first walk in, there's a wall directly in front of you. So it's kind of like you're like walking around this like almost like a corridor, and then the room opens up and you're like, oh, okay.
Right.
And there's like, you got your like teller over here where you can check out, but then right in the middle, people are buying lightsabers, and that's where like the high end lightsabers are. But then there's like, like Abby said, there's a couple animatronic characters in there. The Sarlacc pit is in there, and then there's like the wall, kind of halfway up the wall. There's like another level, and it's just nothing but stuff. There's a life-size like stuffed Wampa up there, and there's on the there's like a tauntaun head on the wall, and then there's just like there's shelves, and there's just like helmets and lightsabers and like Star Wars artifacts. You could sit in there for hours just looking.
I want to work in there. That's where I would want to work.
Yeah,
because it hits all the buttons for me. Collectibles and people buying things. I learned something this weekend. Buying something is the biggest thrill I have. Better than any theme park ride, better than anything. Okay. I just want to buy stuff.
I'm sure Abby appreciates that.
Yeah, I was going to say more than love.
Man, love is good, man.
But if you're
listen, also, I don't want to like I'm going to backtrack a little bit here. I just want to say, like, when you get into Galaxy's Edge and you're walking through, it's very overwhelming because it's like so much of this, even the parts that aren't anything that you can go into or whatever, it's like you're in a village in Star Wars.
Right.
It almost looks like you're on, and I know that's what they're trying to do, but it's like you're on Tatooine, and it's like there's just all the structures are so very specifically Star Wars, and every little corner. We walked into this one spot where it's like, there's a bathroom over here, but over here in the corner is just a bunch of like deactivated droids, and there were some lamps kind of hanging, but all the lamps were made of like broken droids, and it's like, oh, there's an R2 unit's head, but it's a light fixture, and and there were tracks on the ground. There were like at one point I was like, these are Gungan footprints, and then there's droid tracks, and there's just like everywhere you look, it's Star Wars stuff, so even if you're not on a ride. it was like that the whole day. Like we were just walking around and we would stop. It's
the most minor details.
Explore everything.
Yeah, the art department went crazy. Like when you look at where we were dining, like the seats you sit on look like they're like turned over buckets, and like salvage pieces are the tables that you're eating off of. Like even going into the bathrooms, like the way that the sink is set up and the music playing is like from a radio station on Batu, and you've got like a DJ, and like I loved it. Like
well,
I was like, this is the best bathroom I've ever been in.
It's a very immersive experience, and I think that's the goal, where it's not just like, oh, there's only 2 rides. It's like it's so much more than that. I could go to Galaxy's Edge and hang out all day and not do the rides and still have a good time, because like you're just it's the death.
Just loiter, just like Jay and Silent Bob outside of whatever.
I mean,
Cantina.
it's escapism. We were there for 12 hours and we didn't go into every thing. You know, there's a marketplace, and you kind of have to wait in a line to get into the marketplace, but the marketplace is like, I think there's maybe 4 or 5 little shops inside the marketplace, and that's where the shoulder monkeys were. Exactly. And I specifically wanted that, so we were like, all right, let's go find this monkey. But we were also kind of on a time crunch at that moment, because I think that was when we needed to go get in line for Resistance.
Right.
So we didn't even go in those other shops. We just didn't. We went in this one, and we had to get out, but we kind of looked around, and I remember seeing like, oh, they're selling Jedi robes in this one, and then you can.
Yeah, because of COVID protocol, it was like you could only have 2 people or so into the stalls because they were pretty shallow.
Right.
But
and shout out to like they did a really good job of like it was crowded, but I never felt like overwhelmed with like people in my face or anything like that. Like you were wearing masks, which honestly it sucks, but like you got to wear a mask, and also you kind of get used to it, and it just doesn't really matter at some point.
The only thing that bothers me about the masks is just like, I'm definitely used to wearing them at this point, but it's just like when you're in a place like Galaxy's Edge and you get a photo, it's like, oh, I kind of wish I wasn't wearing a mask.
I wasn't wearing a mask.
And that's it, hopefully by the maybe by the next time we're there, maybe we won't have to do it.
Yeah. Hope so. Yeah.
In October.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, we going back.
Oh, yeah.
YHS strikes back.
Oh, and then the next time is going to be Return to the YHS, and then it's going to be the Phantom.
Okay, that's enough.
You know that Darth Sidious is the Phantom Menace. A lot of people don't realize that. Palpatine. Doc Ondar. So I got a lot of footage in there. I wanted a lot of stuff, because it's just not stuff. Listen. Okay, when I'm looking at the $130 Luke,
it's exclusive trinkets and like
Luke Skywalker,
busts,
the busts. Like I know
prop replicas, that's clothing.
This is worth $15. I know that, but I want it. It
all looks really good. And you know what? Something that I did in there is, so I didn't buy anything in there except my beautiful Jedi braid that I'm wearing.
Oh, dude, and, I got here.
We went back a little later on and bought lightsabers, but there was definitely a lot of stuff in there that I was like, oh, I do want this.
I was looking at like Sith holocrons and kyber crystals.
Well, but dude, I think at the time I was so overwhelmed, and I was like, they sell the entire. You can buy like Yoda's complete outfit in there, and it looks kind of high quality, and they had his necklace and his staff, and I was like, oh, I want that, but for my size, it's like it's Yoda size and kid size. But one thing that I didn't even realize I was looking at that I kind of now want is they have the little set of the figures from the chess game.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I took a picture.
And I saw them, and when I glanced at them, I was like, oh, cool. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, those are the monsters from Attack of the Clones. And then I walked away from it and didn't even realize that I was just like... And then later on, I was like, oh, no, those were the fucking chess pieces.
If you're a Star Wars collector... this isn't just action figures or like Abby said, fanny packs and stuff. Like this is higher quality prop replicas. You got,
a lot of statues,
lots of busts, wall art, Queen Amidala's
hair pieces,
her
jewelry,
but and then so you kind of have to get in a separate line for the lightsabers. We came back and got the legacy lightsabers later that day. You can do something else where you build your own lightsaber. We've had a lot of. I think eventually I would like to do the build your own lightsaber thing.
I'd like to do everything.
Maybe. Yeah. But I just want the stuff from the movie, man.
I do too. Dude, my thing with the build a lightsaber is it's $200 per person to do that. And yeah, it's fun that you get to pick all your little pieces and you pick your kyber crystal and all that. but I'd rather pay a smaller amount of money and get a lightsaber that looks like the one Luke had or Obi-Wan or anybody else instead of 200 for just like, okay, that's my lightsaber.
Well, let's talk about the lightsabers. We ended up leaving and going and doing other stuff and coming back, but since we're talking about Doc-Ondars, we'll get into Rise of the Resistance in a second. Let's talk about the lightsaber stress. I still don't know if I got the one I wanted. I really don't. Whoa, look at that. Abby, why don't you walk us through your experience first?
My experience was, it was overwhelming because there was like, it's set up like a big jewelry store case, like clear glass case. There's two people who work behind there, and I thought all the lightsabers were different, but it was basically they had the same batch on both sides. So I was freaking out at first. Then I got a closer look in, and I was really torn between getting the Darth Maul saber or getting the Mace Windu. I knew I wanted to get something prequel related, but it's like when you get up there, you want all of them. It's a tough decision. Like literally, and you're spending some money. Like, let's be honest. Yeah. Like it's an investment.
I think so. Just to give people context, and if you're listening, you can hear that. Sounds so good. And if you're watching here on YouTube, you see that Abby has Mace Windu's purple lightsaber. I think they range from like 130 to 170 for the hilt. And then,
most of them are 130. There's like one or two that are, maybe a little $10 or $20 more, but most of them were $130.
And then it's an additional fee if you want to add the the blade.
Yeah.
So
blade.
They got 3 different sizes of blades. They're I think $40, $50, $70, something like that. This is the mid-size blade. Abby, are you happy with this purchase?
God, yes.
You've been holding it all day.
I know. I went in the backyard today and just swung it around and like filmed myself like early internet videos. It was really fun. And I really like swinging this around. I get it. Like I would do a whole like class learning how to do this.
And the thing is like, I don't have, I'm sure, and this is not coming from a place of insecurity, but like I'm not a diehard Star Wars prop person like I am with Ghostbusters. So we were talking to some friends while in line, our buddy Rob Sosby, who's a big Star Wars lightsaber guy, and I'm like, how accurate are these? And he's like, it depends. Some are really, really accurate. Some are a little undersized here and there. But his advice was the best advice I got. He was like, hey, you're there. They're all really amazing. Mm-hmm. Get the one you want. And I was like, that is great advice. Don't worry if it's slightly undersized or slightly oversized. Nobody's going to mistake it for something else unless you keep it in the top drawer. But anyways, Jake. Yeah. I thought that was a pretty funny joke. No one laughed, but that's fine. Jake, I would like to know. I hope leave a review.
Brittany's mom's.
Dude, this is Brittany's mom's lightsaber.
You must be the first.
Khakis. God, this got good. Jake, what was your lightsaber stress? We're doing stress right now, by the way.
Yeah.
This is stress.
I have been kind of researching Star Wars lightsabers since around December, and I have links open on my phone that I won't close because I've been talking to a good friend of the podcast, Hal Clay, because Hal Clay just has a bunch of lightsabers.
He's a lightsaber guy.
It's something that I've been wanting to get into. I've been wanting to start a lightsaber collection, and I knew which lightsaber I wanted first and kind of the way I wanted to go with it. And I was even unsure that they were selling, the high quality, nice lightsabers there until we got in that room, and I was like,
these are called legacy lightsabers, is what they call.
It's the legacy. Whenever I'm like, okay, is it just build a lightsaber? I didn't know exactly what they were doing. So then when I saw that, I was like, oh. And then I saw the prices. I'm like, these prices aren't bad. It's not very far off from a lot of the ones I'd already at, and I was like, oh, I'm getting a lightsaber today. I'm gonna do it.
Right.
It's
just gonna happen. And we ended up we canceled our droid building to do this just because the droid building, it was just like, it was something we wanted to do, but it was like, we kind of want the lightsabers more. So let's just
well, the droids are, it's about $100 a person to build the droids, and like if you're trying to figure out where you want to put your money for the day. It was becoming clear to us that this is where, this is the direction we wanted to go in.
Yeah. So I knew what I wanted right away, but it was hard to tell like what exactly they had up there. And I'm like looking, and I know, I wanted Luke's saber, which was the saber that belonged to Anakin and ended up belonging to Rey, and got, like the classic Luke Skywalker lightsaber. That's the one I wanted.
The blue guy.
And they had two versions of it. They had, and they just had it labeled as Rey's lightsaber, but I was confused because I was like, oh, is it Rey's lightsaber? We're like standing back in line trying to
figure it out. Because then there's an alternate version of that same saber.
Yeah, but there's the one where it's like they connect
the forged
one from Rise of Skywalker, where it's like put back together. And then, I saw a thing say Rey's lightsaber, and I'm like, oh, is this Rey's lightsaber from the end of Rise of Skywalker when she finally has her own light? But I couldn't see it. When we get up to the front, I'm like, okay, no, this is the one I want, Luke. And one of the most embarrassing things that happened to me over the weekend was thanks to you, Craig. I told her right away, when she was like, hey, which one do you want, or which one would you like to look at? And I was like, Rey's, that's the one I want.
Right.
And she hands it to me, it's in my hand, and Craig goes, now is this the one that Rey has in The Force Awakens? And I immediately am just like super embarrassed because
Dad,
we're supposed to know this.
Yeah.
Don't ask what, like, that's we're
better than
we're
this.
The YHS podcast. Like, we know whose lightsaber.
Buy first, ask later.
And I was very embarrassed by that question, but the best thing that happened after that was that the woman was like, she goes, I don't know what The Force Awakens is. She was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Right. And she's like, this is the lightsaber that Rey found in Maz's cantina.
Right.
They're like staying in character, and she was just like, Force Awakens.
Are you a friend of Rey's?
I should have been like, oh, you don't know what The Force Awakens is? It was only one of the highest grossing movies of all time.
And like continue to try to explain it.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. It's the classic, Luke's lightsaber when he gets his hand cut off. This is
the weapon of a Jedi Knight.
Yeah, this is it. I did not get a blade just because, it was much more expensive to get a blade, and then they kind of trick you and they're like, yeah, the blades are $40, but then they show you the $40 blade is like a baby blade. Tiny, and it's like, oh, I would need the big one. I do regret not having a blade because I have been playing with this thing just like since I got back, and I want it to have a blade in it. And
well, the good news is that
I think your quote was, "Wouldn't you want to swing that around at home alone?"
Yeah. I did say that. Yeah, I was like, yeah, because I think, Craig, you were like, you don't need a blade, and I think it's in the video we posted.
I'm not
like,
anti-blade.
There's no way
Dude,
you're
I'm all about the blade balance.
But here's the thing: I'm all about displaying these like in a DTOF, and obviously you can't do that with the blade. But I think it's good to have one blade because you buy one and you can put it on the different sabers. So
yeah, and I'm all about playing outside
you're right.
with a lightsaber.
Yeah, we know.
What I'm saying is I'm gonna order a blade for this
one. So I ended up getting the Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi green lightsaber. And it's just because Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie. I love Luke Skywalker. My favorite version of Luke Skywalker, if I was ranking all of my Lukes of all movies, I don't even know because I haven't done it in my head yet. But I think my favorite version of him is probably Return of the Jedi. He's just badass. He's a more fully formed, more fully formed Jedi.
Focused.
He's more focused. He's dealt with the fact that his dad is Darth Vader, and he's still coming back, and he's like, you know what? I think that there's good in him, and like there's a determination,
wisdom,
there's determination,
experience,
wisdom, and there's a hopefulness, right? That he can, change his dad's mind. I've tried to do that with my dad. I've been like, no, Dad,
doesn't work.
You'll really like this band if you just give it a chance.
Check out The Mandalorian.
Dude, you'll love it. I know you know nothing about Star Wars, but and then obviously what we saw with Luke and The Mandalorian was an extension of that. So it's just a cool classic design, and just great. I love it. Mm-hmm. And green is my favorite color. Used to be blue. It's green now.
That lightsaber would be my second choice. That's my next one.
And I would love now there's a couple that they didn't have. I think
Ahsoka's.
They didn't have Ahsoka's. I think they're just sold out of it. But they had Obi-Wan's, which would be one I would consider. They had Darth Maul, which is obviously very cool. And I don't know.
There was
Darth
no Yoda, which I was wondering. Like, that's another one that I would get. They didn't have Yodas.
I would definitely get Yoda. Maybe something weird like Count Dooku or something. There's so many cool lightsabers.
Count Dooku's got a good looking saber though, because he's got that curved hilt. That was the first time that they had, like, he's got a good looking saber.
But anyways, so yeah, really cool experience buying those. But let's talk about Rise of the Resistance, because it was a whole thing. So we got in line with midday, and we had our boarding group, and while we were in line, Rise of the Resistance broke down. Which, if you know anything about Galaxy's Edge, it happens a lot. Like every day, something goes wrong. Why? I don't know. It's a really,
lot of moving parts.
There's a lot of stuff going on around that ride. But it ended up breaking down, and then we kind of sat and hung out for a while, observed families yelling at each other for a while, and then it finally got back up. We got in line. We got through the entire queue. And spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about Rise of the Resistance now. So if you don't want to know the details, but we won't reveal everything. We go through the queue. The line's really cool. It's very
interactive.
Very interactive.
Neat.
It's very Last Jedi. You're kind of going through the Resistance base from that era. Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker. Those blue grid screens, lots of props, guns. Flight suits, all sorts of stuff. It's really, really cool.
Weapons.
Yeah. Talking about it breaking down, I think part of it has to do with it is a big ride, and I think they're dealing with a little bit of new technology. We didn't really know what we were up against until we got on the ride, and we were like, oh, well, no wonder this thing fucking breaks down. It is the biggest, most involved ride I think I've ever been on. Right. And when they opened Disney World back in the day, nothing worked. Sorry.
No, it's not true.
But it's true. It's all new stuff.
Rise of the Resistance didn't eat the guests.
but honestly, when we we don't have to spend a lot of time on this part of it, but it did break down 3 times while we were in line. And the last time that it broke down, we were at a part where we were about to be on the ride. They completely kicked us off. But there's a part of the line that I didn't know if we were on the ride or not. Like the line is so good. Listen, just waiting in line is so good that at some point I was like, is this the ride? Because dude, you're laughing, but I
agree with it. It's just it's a funny thought to be in a line and be like, am I on a ride? Like, I don't know.
I'm gonna say what happened. There's a point in the ride where you get into a room and a BB-8 pops up and he's talking to you, and Rey pops up in a hologram, and they're just kind of giving you a little bit of the rundown, and they're like, you're gonna get on a transport ship and you're gonna do this, and then they walk you onto a transport ship, but you're like, you go outside. And you're like, oh, this is different than
see Poe's X-Wing.
Yeah,
Poe's X-Wing is sitting there with BB-8 sticking out of it, and then they put you on a ship. Yeah, and at the front of the ship is a calamari. It's animatronic, and he's talking to you.
And the ship they put you on, the only thing I could compare it to is if you ever been to the Atlanta airport, it's like that railway tram. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
It is.
The doors are closing.
But what was crazy about it is it feels like an older, cheaper ride at Universal. Like, exactly, you're on there and it's kind of moving, and we find out that we actually are moving.
Right, we're going somewhere.
Yeah,
and there's there's like the screens that look like windows, and you get boarded by the First Order kind of pulls you on board. And at one point, I was like, is this the ride? Is this it? Right. I was like, is this the doors are going to be open? We're going to be done.
Yeah.
But listen, those doors open, and
tell the story.
Craig, you saw this first,
and
the face that you made and the noise that you made, you were like, oh, you did one of those. You your face got really wide, and I was like, what is through that door? And then you walk through, and it looks like you're on a First Order ship, and there's maybe 100 stormtroopers, and they're all standing in 3 lines. Actual people. They're not animatronics. There's some droids. There's a giant window behind them where there's looks like you're in space. There's ships. It looked like a cheaper version of when we did Wookiees and Cookies and we did the green
just a
screen
little
thing.
worse.
It was like that, but
not as good set.
But, there's a life-size TIE fighter in there. Like it looks like a cargo bay or something.
Yeah. You're in a
and you're
hangar,
just like
huge.
We're like, what? But then you walk through the door and you're like, oh, we're still in line. This is the line. It's just now the line is in, a First Order ship, and all the people who work there are all dressed up like First Order officers.
And they're all mean.
They're all mean.
They're all very mean, and they're like
British,
kind of making fun of you, and like. I just thought it was crazy because at one point we were sitting, the ride broke down while we were in that part of the line, and we were sitting there, and it like the halls, the like corridors, it looks like every hallway in every Star Wars. Like it looks like where Darth Vader walks down, and you're just like, I'm just sitting on the floor of the most famous looking hallway. You know,
I could have sat there all day.
Almost did, because that's when the ride broke down at that point, which adds to like the mental duress of like I felt like I was being taken hostage and captive by the First Order, and I was like struggling for like, well, I don't know when I'm gonna get out of here. Like when do I get to go to the bathroom? When do I get to eat? So yeah, it actually kind of adds to that like immersive experience.
It was
not
cool.
to say I hope everyone like gets the breakdown.
No, but, I wouldn't recommend that. But like when you going back to that room, it's so open, right? It's just this giant cavernous, like Jake said, like a hangar bay. And you see the TIE fighter. Yeah. You got this giant screen looking out into space. There's a nice blue tint to everything. You've got these are not weathered like 1983 Return of the Jedi stormtroopers. These are pristine, First Order. Like this, it feels very much like you're in the sequel trilogy, and whether or not you like those movies or not, it's impressive and it's immersive and it's
in the video.
Awesome.
Our video that's on YouTube, if you want to see it, we filmed it both times. And the second time, we knew that it was coming, so we filmed the entire thing.
Well, I guess that's the part of the story is they ended up taking us out of the ride. We had to come back later. Because they were like, "Hey, it's super broken down. Like it's like
give us like a rain
it's
check,
like Luke Skywalker in exile after failing his own nephew after training him to be a Jedi, only to let him form the First Order and then killing his own father, and then you're just
it's that broken.
Getting that milk, that weird milk part from the Last Jedi. It's that broken."
But they gave us a fast pass, so later on we were able to just kind of walk through straight. But we got to do that part of it again.
Yeah, that was the best part. I was like, please, I was so worried they were just going to bring us, I don't know, somehow back into the ride right where we had gotten out, and we got to do the whole queue and everything again. It was great.
And I guess we don't want to like spoil what everything the ride is, but I just want to say like you're on a track. There's animatronics. There's like screens happening. You don't have to wear glasses for it, which is great. But there's like characters doing things. You're being chased. I don't even know if I should say the one room where we went in and all three of us had an audible reaction.
Dude.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, just put it on silent for 5 seconds. You're on this cart and you see these AT-ATs and it's insane. Like, I don't know.
There's just life-size.
It puts you in perspective. Like you're tiny looking at it. It's incredible.
Well, because you're kind of weaving in between their like legs. And they're bigger than there's a big AT-AT at the beginning of the Star Tours ride.
Right.
And you kind of when you're there, you're like, oh look, it was like a life-size AT-AT. But then when you get in here, you're like, oh no.
These are huge.
These are twice as big. These are life-size AT-ATs. And you're like looking up at them, it's insane.
It's just kind of hard to compare it to any other ride that people would be familiar with because
because it's
a dark ride. There's elements that feel like the Tower of Terror. There's elements that feel like the great movie ride
or E.T. almost.
It's
like the animatronic.
Yeah,
level.
it's like the next evolution of like a cool dark.
You're
ride.
Escaping. Like we can say that there's an escape. Feel
so
the whole thing.
It's just very cool, and I hope for anybody who goes to Galaxy's Edge, you get the chance to do it. And I would say if you are going down for a multi-day Disney vacation, I would plan. Like, I would start off each day trying to get Rise of the Resistance, and if you don't get it that day, go make sure you go to Galaxy's Edge the day you can do that ride, because it is like incredible. Like I would be super bummed if we didn't get to do it.
It's worth the wait. Like, and even like we haven't even really talked about Smuggler's Run.
Let's do it. Yeah, because we did that kind of afterwards. We only waited about 35 minutes too.
Yeah, we ended up not waiting long, and the line was good for that too. But I also didn't know what Smuggler's Run was going to be in it, and I just there was this thing that happened where at one point we're in line, and I looked over to you guys and I was like, "Hey, this line's really great, but you know what would be really cool? It would be cool if this line like took you inside the Millennium Falcon, and you were like, in the corridors of the Millennium Falcon, and you saw the table with the chess table, and maybe 10 minutes later a door opened, and we all looked at each other and we're like, oh, this is exactly what I just said. And you step onto the Millennium Falcon, and there's a section where you're waiting in line and you don't have a lot of time, but the fucking table is there, and you can sit there and get a photo op really quickly, and we're just like, we are in the Millennium Falcon right now.
Yeah, it made me want to pause and take more time to like explore, and just like you were saying, Jake,
hey, the last ride we were on let us just sit here. Can we do that?
We were here for like an hour. Can we stay in this area for a while? Yeah, like the walking. Boarding basically is what it feels like when you're getting on the Falcon. Like it feels like you're at an airport almost. Like there's like shaking on the ground. Like it's great. And then once you get in, it opens up and you're like, this is that is the one thing I will say at the entire park that's like, this is right out of the old movies, and I can recognize this spot on. It's part of the old stuff, which most of the park the entire park is based on like new stuff. So it's cool to have something like that. That's like the most iconic and grounded thing in Star Wars that you can like sit down.
And the ride's cool.
For sure.
Like the ride's cool. You get assigned, Abby and I were captains. Jake was the gunner. Two guys that we didn't know were the back people. I don't know.
The engineer.
The engineer.
Yeah.
It's fine. The ride itself is fine. I will
slap some buttons. Like
I will say this. The best part of that ride itself is the fact that you're sitting in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what happens.
I actually wish I didn't have responsibilities while sitting in the cockpit. Like I would have liked it if it was almost like just.
Well, you know what?
Like
what's crazy about it is that so the two pilots, real quick rundown. It was one of your jobs to make the Millennium Falcon either go up or down, and it was the other person's job to go left or right. So you guys, if we had to turn this way, one of you had to make sure we were going up while the other one was making like you guys had actual jobs. And because of that, we spent the entire time running into things and like crashing into things. And I know that's part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
But there was a lot of times where your little droid pilot is like, you guys are wrecking the ship, and like
we had a lot of damage.
And then my job as the gunner wasn't a real job. It was just a button. I didn't have to aim at anything. All I did was push a button, just this bloop bloop bloop. And then the engineer behind us had an even smaller job. There was only one point in the ride where he was like, now engineer, press your button, and the guy's like, okay, like that was it. So I thought it was weird that
uneven responsibility.
Yeah, the responsibilities weren't. I do agree with you. Like it was fun being on there, but I feel like that ride could be a little bit.
You know what it did? It gave me a lot of respect for Han Solo. He's a pilot, It's a lot of work.
I don't want to. Listen.
I learned myself that stress under pressure. I didn't do.
I would say that ride is a combination of like the Back to the Future ride and like one of like the VR Jurassic World experience at Dave and Buster's. It's kind of like that, where it's like it's fun and immersive, but maybe could be better. Like I'm not trying to dog it. It's just
no. I just think if they could keep the exact thing. I liked being in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon because it looks like the Millennium Falcon, and I like that you're just looking at a screen and it's moving. I like that, but I just think what you're seeing maybe could be more Star Warsy and not be like, it's just like, maybe throw some characters in there or something, and it's just you're trying to capture a ship or something. I don't know, like this part of it could be something different, and it would make it a little more exciting, but.
But overall, it's still good. Definitely recommend doing it.
We're
going to do it every time. We're not going to not do it.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But Star Tours is, like, to me, the better, more kitschy.
It's my favorite. I literally...
It's fun.
Because in Star Tours, you don't know, there's two sections
randomized.
of it, and it's random. And no matter what, you're always seeing people that you know. Like
Yep.
Poe showed up at some point and he helped us, and then Lando popped up and asked us for some help, and it's like you're always gonna get people, and in this one,
and you get to react to it.
Well, this one's based on of like Hondo Naka, and it's more Clone Wars based and Rebels based and all that, and that's great. If I could because we're running out of time here, but if I could leverage, and I brought this up a couple times to both of you, I wonder long term, like it's very clear that the park was built post Force Awakens. It was planned during the planning of Rise or Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, and there's been a lot of turmoil in the Star Wars fandom since The Last Jedi came out, and there's a lot of people who weren't really thrilled with the way the sequel trilogy panned out, and it didn't live up to expectations. Especially, there's a lot of people who love Force Awakens, and then kind of thought it kind of went downhill from there. Regardless of your opinion, there's no doubt that right now Star Wars is back and bigger than ever because of The Mandalorian, which is firmly situated within the realm of the original trilogy. Like it's about the Empire and the remnants of the Empire, and then you've got Boba Fett, and then you're bringing in like Ahsoka from the animated series and all that. I don't need to explain what the Mandalorian is, but
good.
This is just firmly First Order, Kylo Ren, Rey. It is that era, and it's not. Though there's nostalgia everywhere because it's Star Wars. It's not nostalgia for that original trilogy, and I wonder long term what that looks like at the park. Like in 5 years, are people going to be like, God, out of all the things to build a whole theme park about, The Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker era is not like, we could have a classic theme park, we could have a Mandalorian theme park, but this is not.
Yeah.
I wonder. It was something that I wondered.
Yeah, I completely get why they did it like that, and I understand it, and it's still very exciting to see, and doesn't really take away from it. But I agree with you that if we were walking around there and there was a section where there was like a Yoda thing or a Yoda photo op or something, it would be like. It would be almost on another level, and I think maybe within a couple of years they'll do something like I know that they want to keep it. It's its own planet, it's like its own little section that isn't really in the movies, and I understand what they're trying to do, but I don't think there's no doubt in my mind that at some point, even if it's not a permanent thing, there will be a section that's maybe a little more Mandalorian or maybe a little more like.
Well, I think Batu's going to show up in one of these shows.
That's the other remedy
Boba
for the
Fett,
situation is to incorporate it in something everybody is already watching.
Like
and
imagine, like Jake was just saying,
canon.
Another level. Imagine if instead of all the first, like now I'm not talking about during Rise of the Resistance. That ride is all about this era, and I love it. It's change
perfect.
It. It's perfect.
Yeah.
But
you were saying opening up a world to like other.
Imagine if there were classic stormtroopers walking around and like Boba Fett and Mandalorian and a Grogu photo op, and then like I just think there's ways to incorporate all that stuff and not be so rigid that. And obviously, it's new. It's been open less than 2 years.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to modify it as they go.
I'm also unsure if we were there during COVID, so it's hard to say what it's like as far as we saw there was a little section where Chewie and Rey were kind of hanging out, having a conversation, and they were behind, a barrier. You couldn't get close to them. And then there was a stage at some point that had a couple stormtroopers and also had a Kylo Ren hanging out. But that was it. And, one of the things, like when we got into the cantina, I was like, oh, this is amazing. But if there were like characters in here, like just drinking and hanging out, it would be on a completely different level. Right. And I wonder if like COVID restrictions is keeping characters from walking around.
I'm sure that's some of it.
It's hard. I'm not sure, but it seems like there would be more of that kind of thing.
People selling death sticks.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. Let us know, in Facebook group therapy, let us know if you've been there, if you had a different experience, or if you things that you think would add to the experience. But let's talk about this cantina.
I bought a $35 drink at this Cantina because it came in this porg. And I'll tell you, it was a really good drink. Is the most expensive thing on the menu. And I know $35 for a drink sounds insane. And it does. And that's why I wanted it. Dude, honestly, I tell you, all the drinks in there were like maybe $6, $6 to $8 or something. But there was like one called the Cave Dweller, very bottom of the menu, $35, comes in a porcelain porg. I'm buying it.
But again, even just that, like out of all the things that it could come in, it comes in a porg. So it's like clearly
messaging is on TLJ.
I bet they'd sell even more if it came in an R2D2
or
a just
Sure. I like that it came in a porg, but I get what you're saying. Hey, what was really
Mine's
like
still in
the Cantina was great though, and you know they had music playing and there's a DJ in there, but the DJ DJ Rex, who used to be he used to be a part of Star Tours.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah. He's moving on up. He's got a promotion.
He got a promotion. Yeah. But it's cool. Like, you know, the music. I've been listening to the soundtrack to the Cantina like just all day, and you know what? It's not the kind of music that I'm like usually into. It's like it's very like
EDM,
dancey, EDM. But like, there's like 3 or 4 songs that have like full lyrics, but in like one of them is like it's Jawas singing a song. Like two of the songs are like Huttonese, and I'm like
that.
But because we were there and like we were in that experience, it's like I want to keep listening to that music because
of course,
it's
part of
it's like listening to a movie soundtrack.
Abby, what'd you think ending the day at the Cantina?
It was like literally the best way to end it. I mean, it's almost like, you know, when you're a character in a Star Wars movie, you go through all the exhaustion and the long walk and the journey, and you want to just plop down at the Cantina, and that's kind of how our day was ending. And being able to go in there, we made our reservation, minor stress, like trying to make sure that all that stuff worked out, but we were able to get in there, and we had like a side panel bar, like standing area, all to ourselves.
It was really cool.
And y'all got the super expensive drinks, the top shelf stuff, which is awesome.
Top shelf non-alcoholic beverages.
I think I got the Jabba Juice, which had Jake gave us my favorite quote when he was like, "I don't want solids in my liquid," because they have like the little bursting beads in the drink that I got, which I liked. I thought they were good.
Pretty cool.
And just to be able to have a nice drink with your friends, I got to dance a little bit, like
it was fun
to the good music. It's fun.
I don't want beads inside me in any sort of capacity.
They exploded to liquid. By the way, when they hit your tongue.
We've got we'll be covering as you know, over the next couple of weeks. I'm sure we'll have more memories pop up from our trip, and we haven't even talked about Universal yet. But
there's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff. We'll probably have to do a whole second episode on Universal. But we did eat food. There's a couple of establishments. They do a virtual ordering system. You order, they prepare it, it's ready when you get there. We sat down and ate. Does anybody remember the name of where we ate?
Docking Bay 7.
Thank you. Something like that. And I don't know about you guys, but my food was really good.
Oh my!
It was good.
It was very good food. Something that I had heard before going is that some of the food joints in Galaxy's Edge, the food is like kind of a step above theme park food. It's not just like it's
seasoned,
very good
well balanced.
Yeah, it was good. I had some sort of chicken thing.
Yeah,
it was delicious.
Falafels.
Craig had the chicken loaf.
I had a chicken loaf.
Me and Abby had the falafel hummus things.
Mine had like fresh veggies and potatoes. It was really good.
Sauce.
Listen, it was like 90 degrees out. You're hot. It was nice to sit down.
But inside that space, it was like blasting cold air, and it felt like you were on base.
Also, like the way our table was, it was tucked in a corner against the wall, and it felt a lot like Han and Greedo's meeting in the Cantina. I was like,
"Yep,
what?" Yeah.
Oh God, I'm getting so mad that I'm not there right now eating.
Yeah,
because I'm hungry, and my dinner tonight will pale in comparison to whatever I ate at the. So I think we did it. I mean, overall, I give Galaxy's Edge like 10 out of 10. Like it's such a, it's just such a. If you're a Star Wars fan, what could be better? Amazing merch to buy, and we didn't even scratch the surface on the stuff they have available. Cool rides, Rise of the Resistance. I mean, listen, I've been on a lot of rides in my life.
Nothing like that.
It's up there. It's got to be a top 3.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what's better.
And I think there's plenty of room for growth there too. Like there are things, you know, that we looked at and we're like, oh, there's some things that they could change and make this better. And there's definitely like areas that can be broadened and and it looks like it's such. I thought it was going to be so much smaller than it was, but it still even looks like they could be adding on to that. Like,
right.
I think it's going to change and kind of evolve.
And Abby, I'll throw to you for a final word on it. What I appreciated is that there's a lot of space. It's not. They didn't just pack a snack stand every 5 feet. And another merchandise stand every 20 feet.
Yeah.
Like
they had those.
You can breathe a little
areas
bit
like
there.
in the marketplace.
Right.
It feels like it's set up in like a functional way that like a little city would be set up.
Yeah, it's really cool. It
makes sense.
And Chewbacca looked great. Jake, you tried to give him a Yavin medal.
I did, you know, I tried.
And I didn't realize it at the time, but going back and looking at a video, the actress playing Rey looks a lot
like her. Yeah.
Like weirdly a lot like her.
Yeah.
Like, by the way, this is how you know you're a Star Wars fan. Like, you've got this girl looking like Rey, and I love Rey, but I'm just like, Chewbacca! Say, wave to me! Wave to me! He's going to wave to me. So, Abby, final thoughts on Galaxy's Edge?
We have to go back. We got to go back as soon as possible.
Not Penny's boat.
Not Penny's boat. Yeah, you guys need to get your blades. We got to build droids. We need to eat.
Get your blades!
Get the blades. Go to the Ronto place. We missed getting some wraps. I know there was more vegan food that Jake didn't get to try. Yeah, I want to go back and do everything. And
do it all again.
Bring more people. So
well, you know what's
good.
I don't know.
Good group in our line.
They're doing during Celebration in Anaheim next year, and I believe the Anaheim, the Disneyland Galaxy's Edge is basically the same, and they're doing like Star Wars Celebration night at Galaxy's Edge. That sounds fun. That sounds really fun.
Let's go.
Why are we? What's stopping us? Yeah, let's go. We got lightsabers.
I got a blade. There you have it, YHS listeners. If you can get us free passes to Galaxy's Edge,
we'll give you a shout out on the show.
We'll give you 3 shout outs. Shout out to future listener.
We might have dinner.
No, it was great, man. It was so cool. And listen, we actually picked up a lot of toys and things. We went to some toy stores and stuff. We're going to cover that in depth on Toy Anxiety, which we're about to record live
in 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Yeah, dude. My dudes.
So that'll be available on YouTube and on the live feed if you haven't seen it before listening to this. And more than anything, it just felt good. I know the world is still trying to figure out COVID, and the United States has somehow gotten ahead of the what?
I'm laughing thinking about how emotional we got on Star Tours when we saw Lando. We both started crying at the beginning of the day. Craig and I were it was literally like
9 o'clock in the morning and you're crying.
Crying over Billy D. Williams.
Calrissian.
Hey, Star Wars fans. Welcome to
There's
Star
like a little girl
Tours.
with the Ray-Bans in front of me. Like, it's such a good experience for her.
I was kind of concerned about how casual that call for help from Lando was, because that's the call from help from, you know, Rise of Skywalker where he's trying to get everybody to come fight the Final Order, and he was just like, hey guys, you're like coming and helping. And
you won't believe it.
This is serious.
He's like, you're not going to believe this, but Palpatine, that old crusty white bastard, is back. We need your help.
Oh, wow.
So listen, amazing. We'll be back. We'll be going there. If you have the ability. What I was saying was the United States, we've all got vaccines, and they're out there, and people are starting to get out and about, and we're still social distancing, we're still masking up, but to get out of the house and go on a quick little trip was a much needed. Like, there was that time 6 months ago where I was just like, I don't know if like theme parks will exist anymore. Like, are we
yeah.
Like the fact that we've been to a convention, a toy show, and a theme park trip in 2021, which is 9,000% more than anything we did last year. So
yeah. Also, if how crowded Universal Studios was as any kind of indicator, theme parks are going nowhere.
Yeah, theme parks are back and bigger than ever.
Yeah, they're back.
We're gonna ride the movies for sure. I wanted to say that. That's the official slogan for Universal Studios. Ride the movies.
Ride the movies.
Jake, anything else? Or are we done here?
No, dude. I think we're done.
All right.
Welcome
home.
listen, subscribe on YouTube to the channel if you're watching us here. If you listen to the podcast feed, make sure you subscribe on iTunes, follow us on Spotify, and if you could, leave one of those 5-star reviews. We like to read those and send t-shirts to the ones that we like the most. And more than anything, we hope you're safe, happy, and healthy. And we're going to be back next week with more tales from the Yes Have Some crew. My name is Craig Goldberg.
I'm Abigail Gardner.
We're doing our own now.
Yeah,
and
You have to do your own.
Walsh.
I'm doing it. That's Jacob Walsh. And that's a space monkey.
Let me get mine.
I love Salacious Crumb. I hope he shows up in Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, me too. Like,
Damn.
yeah. He's just hanging out with the family.
Yeah, I love it. Whoop, you all right?
Still having trouble.
It just doesn't get old. All right, everybody.
All right.
We'll see you next week.
Night.
Enjoy Star Wars like we always do. Watch a
Enjoy
Star Wars
life.
movie. Watch
Just
Star Wars
enjoy
movie
it.
tonight.
Enjoy Star Wars.
Watch Ewoks. It's on Disney Plus. It's got
Bye.
a good theme song. Bye.
Bye, guys.